Folks, welcome back to another episode of The Fallen Badge. Today we're going to look at the murder of Officer Melissa Schmidt, Minneapolis Police Department, Minnesota. Officer Schmidt was 35 years old. She had been with the Minneapolis Police Department for 6.5 years. Now, she'd been a Marine, and as a lot of military people do, they gravitate towards the law enforcement agencies. It's August 1st, 2002. It's about 7 p.m. in the evening. Now, Officer Schmidt and a second officer, I don't know if they were riding in a 2-officer car or not. Anyways, they make the scene at the Horn Tower apartment complex. Now, that's in the southern part of Minneapolis. Now, the call they're going on, the complainant told the police that her aunt was drunk and threatening people with a handgun. Now, I can only assume the niece was probably one of those that was being threatened. And the only thing worse than a domestic is a domestic where one or more parties are drunk, which so many cases they are. So they arrive at the complex, 2 officers do, and based on the description given by the complainant, and I'm sure her physical condition, they locate the suspect in the lobby. Now, there's 3 high-rise buildings in this complex. I don't know which lobby they interacted with her in. Now, some other resource material mentions that the actual first contact was in the parking lot of the complex. Now, I believe there's only that one entrance in, so I'm not for sure which one. Don't know if they met her in the parking lot and walked into the lobby, or it was just the lobby. Now, the officers checked the suspect. She had a purse with her. They checked her purse. They checked her vehicle. Now, they did not locate a gun, but now they found some .38 caliber rounds in her purse, which would tell you that somewhat corroborates the story of the complainant. Generally, if you got bullets, you're going to have a gun somewhere. They couldn't figure out where the gun was. There was some question as to whether the suspect had been patted down, and the information I've read seems to indicate that Officer Schmidt had patted her down. Now, the suspect asked to go to the bathroom, which would not be uncommon for someone that's drunk. Now, I'm not for certain, but Officer Schmidt may have patted the suspect down a second time, which seems to be a tendency. I've done that too. You pat somebody down and then they want to go to the bathroom, so then you get suspicious and you're thinking, maybe I need to pat them down just one more time. In any event, Officer Schmidt walks the suspect into the ladies' bathroom. Now, the partner, and I believe her name is pronounced Frisselbin, she goes and she stands at the bathroom door on the outside. And Officer Schmidt goes all the way in, stands outside the stall, while the suspect is in the stall. Now, just to A few seconds go by, and the partner hears Schmidt hollering, "Show me your hands." So then, of course, the partner, she runs into the bathroom, and she saw the suspect seated on the toilet, and she's struggling with Officer Schmidt. Now, the partner runs up, and she's trying to help Officer Schmidt control the suspect. Well, now the suspect's got a gun in her hand. It's a .38 caliber revolver. So now they are trying to gain control of the suspect, get the gun away from her. Well, the suspect starts cranking off some rounds. Now, one of those rounds goes off beside the head of Officer Frisselman, and it's so close to the side of her head. In fact, she had powder burns on her left hand and on her face. That's how close the pistol was to her face. She thinks she's been hit, and she falls backwards. Now, during this struggle, Schmidt pulls her pistol. Now, during this exchange of gunfire between Officer Schmidt and the suspect, Officer Schmidt is hitting the lower abdomen, just below her vest. Now, she's able to crank off 5 rounds, or let me say, she shot the suspect 5 times. Now, Officer Schmidt is down, but she's keeping her gun pointed at the suspect until more cars arrive. Because just because you've hit the suspect multiple times does not mean they're dead. Now they load Officer Schmidt up in an ambulance, transport her to the hospital. Now the investigation showed that the round that hit Officer Schmidt, it went through her key ring which was on her belt and went into that lower stomach area just below the vest, just an inch or so. So they get Officer Schmidt to the hospital. Now, within a few hours, Officer Schmidt dies. The suspect, she's dead on the scene. Now, the ME checked the blood alcohol of the suspect, and it was .242. Now, according to the resource material, that's 2.5 times greater than the legal limit if you were driving in the great state of Minnesota. Now, they're not sure how many shots the suspect fired, but if the resource material is accurate and it was a .38 caliber revolver, then she didn't have but 6 rounds. Now, they later determined that the gun had been bought by the suspect in Illinois in 1990. Now, there are some questions, a couple of questions. One, why did the officer allow the suspect to go to the bathroom? And 2, where did the suspect have the gun? Now, in regards to allowing the suspect to go to the restroom, that's officer discretion. Somebody wants to go to the bathroom and you are detaining them, you could say no. There's just no right or wrong answer. But the fact she was drunk and they'd patted her down, it seems like a reasonable request that I would have granted. Now, they were able to determine that the suspect had hidden the gun in her buttocks, and that's why the officer missed it on the pat down. I'm not going to go into how they determined that's where the gun was at, but you can look at the resource material I have and it will explain to you how they determined that's where the gun was. And it's just a shame, as all these stories are, that you have another officer who has served their country in the military, and then they're serving their community, and then they get their life taken away by someone. I was not able to determine why the suspect was mad, who she was mad at, but now when you're drinking, sometimes you're not at your best. And I don't understand why the suspect just decided she was going to shoot the officer, tried to shoot both officers. I don't know what's inside somebody to want to do that. Police officers didn't show up there because they flipped a coin and that's where they went. They went there because somebody called them, a relative of the suspect. I don't understand. It's beyond me to try to comprehend the actions of people. And I just don't know what Officer McGowan could have done different, or her partner, allowing someone to go to the restroom. Of course, if they'd have told her she couldn't go to the restroom, I don't know what would have happened, but I'm sure the media would have complained about that, saying it was mean for them not to let her go to the bathroom. Just an example of you can do everything right and things still go wrong. Also shows you the meanness that's in people. But then again, as much as the suspect had been drinking, I don't know what her state of mind was when she was sober, but obviously when you're under the influence of alcohol, your ability to make rational decisions is not too good. Officer Melissa Jane Schmidt. End of watch, August 1st, 2002.